Okay, so welcome back to this another tutorial where I'm going to show you how lenses affect everything. And so in this part we are going to be talking about something that is called it's called depth of field. So depth of field, essentially, it is the amount of blurriness of the background. So depth of field, essentially what it does is that it it puts focus on something by making everything else blurry, or maybe I should talk more using action rather than just plain words. So for example, we have these two shots over here. So in this 16mm shot, I want you to notice something that is happening on the background. The background in this first shot here on the left is completely in focus. So psychologically, what does tell the brain is like, hey, look at the background and look at this person over here, you know? And but there's something that changes as you go up here, and that is because of the way this the person who shot these shots decided to do it. Like in this shot over here on 85mm, even though I said before that 85mm is actually the kind of shot that tells you like focus on the subject, okay, but another trick was added to cause more focus on the subject, and that is blurring the background. Okay, so how do you blur the background in Blender? So let me open Blender here. Let me go to file, new, load startup. So if I was to blur the background using Blender internal, which is it's a dying Blender engine, but some people still love it for reasons. But so if I was to blur the background, what I'll do, the way I do it, the reason why I set the camera to where it is, because I love shots that the camera, the default, the way it's positioned is actually terrible. So in here I'll get a much better shot, at least much better shot than the way I would have if the camera was up there. So I'm going to set up something very basic here so I can show you what I mean. Going to put a plane, going to scale it. So essentially how I do it is I usually add, going to press Shift A. I'm going to add an empty, and then I'm going to select this where is that sphere? Yes, the sphere. So this empty sphere, as you can see it over here, when you add focus, excuse me, when you add depth of field, essentially I want the camera to focus on this point. You see later on, but let me just explain it here, so that when I want to change where I want the camera to focus, I can essentially just move this. So how do you add this whole depth of field thing in Blender internal? So essentially you just come here, select the camera, come here to camera settings, and then you essentially come here to the part where it says focus, and then you select that object. I'll select my empty. So what essentially it means here is that the camera will focus on this empty here. So if I want to change focus in between shots, for example, I'm already like I have a shot, I won't have to come and change here, stop the rendering process and change my object to focus on. All I have to do is just move it. So I want to focus on this. By the way, the focus it's not going to be on this sphere, but rather its center. So the focus point is actually this little center over here. So if I was to leave it this sphere inside, it will actually be focusing inside, and you could get other parts. Maybe you could see that your whole image is becoming blurry, but not understanding why. But the focus is actually its center. So I've already selected my camera to focus on that empty. So let me just show you how I do it. All I do is come here. Let me just add some. a node editor, add node editor. So what I do, I come here to the node editor. This is for Blender Internal. I click this little button here. It's called node tree display compositing nodes. I don't know what it's called, but I click here, use nodes, and then I zoom in. I zoom in and I click add add where is that thing? Is it in the filter? Yes, add filter defocus. Then I add it here. So essentially, as you can see, I've added something here, this defocus node. So all the settings are actually here, and let me just hit render quickly and see what happens. So I hope it's going to be visible, but I hate it when it renders here. I don't want it to render here, but essentially I've just rendered the image. I'm going to use backdrop so that I can see it in the back, and then I'm going to add another node called output, then viewer node. I'm going to add this viewer node. So this viewer node essentially is going to enable me to see my image in the background, as you can see, like here. So the way we do it in videography, this is called bokeh type. So bokeh type is what do you call, I mean, I'll show you bokeh anyway in case you do not know what bokeh is, but essentially usually set it here to hexagonal, because that's how the lenses, that's how the lenses are. They're hexagonal or whatever. I don't know why, but so they have set it to hexagonal. Then I'm going to use Z buffer. So I want you to look at the image. You can see that. Let me switch it off. It was sharp, now it's all blurry, but you can see there's that kind of focus that is happening. Okay, so this is f-stop. This is like aperture. The aperture that I usually love is usually 4. So you can see it becomes, blurry, but for some unknown reason my image is not yet in focus. Let me see. Oh yeah, so one thing I should do is that I should take this Z thingy and put it on this thingy. So this what am I calling it, Z thingy? Essentially this is the camera data about depth. So this thing is going to tell the camera where the image is in focus. So right now it's all out of focus, so let's put it there. So you can see the image is now in focus, but the background isn't. Okay, as you can see, it's in focus, the background isn't. And so maybe if I added something in the background, it could have been more evident. Let me add a sky here. Let me add a sky. Okay. How do you do it quickly? Don't have all day. Let me just add here something quickly, something ugly but quickly, get. I'm going to enable this thing. Let me leave it that the way it is. Should come back here. I just realized that right now I haven't used this software I haven't used Blender Internal in a while. Okay, so here we have something ugly. Let's see how we can fix that. Okay, it's still ugly. Then it's color. So right now I just realized how much I haven't used this software in a long time. I mean, not the software, by the way. How much I haven't used Blender Internal in a long time. So essentially, let's just leave it as ugly as the way it is right now, because the whole point is I want you to see what happens in the background. So you can see the sky has been defocused, okay? As you can see it here, the sky has been defocused, and essentially I could just, you know, increase this max blur to increase the blurriness. So this is how you do it in Blender, and the whole point of this part, I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this, is that the whole point you can see using this defocus or depth of field, that's the way it's called professionally. I am essentially telling you to focus on the cube and not the sky because I've blurred it. And let me show you quickly how you can do it in Cycles. That's why I love Cycles. It's so quick. Let me disable this stuff. So in Cycles, you essentially just come and select the camera, come here. You know, the settings are here. So the size here, let me set it to f-stop. Right now it's at 4.6. Let me just set it to 2. And yeah, you know, go to the camera view by pressing 0 on the numpad. Shift Z. Okay, so I also hate this other thing that I have to come and put stuff here. But essentially, let me just put something quickly. You see how quickly that was? Adding a sky, a realistic sky in Cycles. Do you see why I love this render engine as opposed to Blender Internal? You see, just like that. Why would you hate it? So let me see if it's working. So I have everything here, but you know what, this is somehow confusing for me. I'm used to using this radius stuff. Just put here 0.02. Maybe it's not as evident. Let me try to put it to okay, so essentially, as you can see here, I'm used to using this radius stuff, even though in actual sense I'm a videographer. I'm also used to using these f-stop values because those are the ones I see on the camera. But so you see what I've done here. That little empty sphere is actually at in front of the cube here, and essentially I have used this defocusing or depth of field to tell you psychologically focus on the front part of the cube and nothing else. Okay, so there's nothing you can do because I've blurred everything behind. So that's how depth of field is used. So we are going to watch them trailers again. I said them trailers. We're going to watch the trailers again, and then I'm going to show this time how depth of field is actually used to bring focus either on the background or the foreground. Okay, by blurring everything or not blurring everything. Okay, so let's go. See you in the next part.